How is it going, everybody? My name is DeMarco, and it must be Halloween early because Bethesda has given us a massive treat with no tricks attached. A brand new unlisted video has surfaced on the official Bethesda YouTube channel, and it shows to us new lore and story and faction details, as well as giving us never before seen concept art with a deep look at some of the planets and cities and armor that we'll be able to see in the game. There's a lot to be excited about here. Right off the bat, we get an answer to a massive question many of us had in relation to Starfield. We first learned that the area or region of the Milky Way that we'll be exploring is located 50 light years away from our very own solar system. Exploration of this region occurred in the year 2310, which is 20 years before Starfield takes place in the year of 2330. This new region of colonized space is officially known as the Settled Systems and is under the majority control by two major factions in the game. We've heard about both of them, the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective. Emil discusses the initial colonization efforts of this region, stating that these two major players, the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies, engaged in a bloody war known simply as the Colony War. It's good to know that in the 2300s, we're using an incredibly practical naming system for things like this. Currently, these two factions in the game do have an uneasy peace, but I'm willing to bet that the player character, us, when we get into Starfield, will have the opportunity to join one or the other of these factions, or perhaps neither, but we'll have the opportunity to shift the balance of power within this region for whichever faction we choose to side with. We do know a bit about the ideologies of these two factions from previous developer diaries. The Freestar Collective, we can see that they're poorer, they're a bit more rugged, it's more dangerous to be there, but they value freedom above all else. On the contrary, the United Colonies is the largest military power in the systems, which means they'll likely fill the archetype of that wealthy, clean, militaristic, and possibly dictatorial faction. I'm interested to see if the United Colonies will hold that thin veneer of wealth and prosperity over the crime and corruption that is inherently woven into the institutions and lifestyles of this faction. It's worth noting that this conflict is nothing new. We've seen it in past games and past literature. The Witcher 3 immediately comes to mind, the difference between the free Northern Realms or the Empire of Nilfgaard. So we'll probably be exploring similar ground there, but in a sci-fi setting, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Next up, we do get a look at some incredibly beautiful concept art. We do see what looks like a promenade here and some wildlife hanging out in the trees and the pond on the right-hand side. This city actually has been shown in the past in previous concept art images. It's immediately identifiable through those lush green mushroom-like trees that appear in both concept art. It's possible that this is a continuation of New Atlantis, which we've seen in the past, but we'll have to wait and see for more details. What I'm most interested to see is how explorable these cities end up being. One of the most requested features for Bethesda titles is to have more expansive cities while also maintaining that lived-in and very handcrafted feel. If you take a look at past concept art, specifically shots of Whiterun in particular, you can see the streets are much narrower, there's much less depth, and then when you take a look at the power of the Creation Engine 2.0 in conjunction with the power of next generation hardware, this is the best time of any for Bethesda to make this become a reality. A small detail, but I particularly like the outfits that are shown in this art, specifically the two people walking in the foreground of this image wearing cloaks. Are cloaks possibly confirmed to be in the game? It is one of the more popular Skyrim mods, so we'll have to wait and see. Bethesda then did a great job of juxtaposing the beautiful, clean city of possibly New Atlantis with a much darker cyberpunk-esque underground market that's featured in the next concept art image. Here we can see a bustling marketplace. It's filled to the brim with NPCs, and again with the Creation Engine 2.0, it's likely that Bethesda will be able to generate more NPCs on screen at any given time. One gentleman is also wearing a backpack here. This might be the Quake logo, which is a clever little Easter egg if that is the case, but backpacks, again, another very popular mod that we've seen in the past, and even content that can be found in the Creation Club, so perhaps we'll be getting official support for it here, although based on the armors that we've seen in the game, maybe not. It just doesn't seem practical or necessary. Who knows? This is where we start digging into one of the most interesting parts of the developer diary, at least for me. We get introduced to 3 new antagonistic factions in the game. Some of them have been leaked in the past, but here we have official titles and names for them and confirmation. There's Ecliptic Mercenaries, Pirates of the Crimson Fleet, Violent Spacers, which I'm going to assume that they're not really a faction, just kind of the generic bandit that we'll come across. And finally, the Religious Zealots of House Veru. The Ecliptic Mercenaries and the Pirates of the Crimson Fleet in particular seem like factions the player may be able to join and align with. Hopefully, I can live out my dream of being a space pirate. However, before we do get expectations too high, they might also fill a similar role as the Gunners in Fallout 4, a named bandit faction that you can't join, but it's just a little bit more developed than a common bandit. Fingers crossed that we can actually join them and not just fight against them the whole time. The Pirates of the Crimson Fleet are particularly interesting. They're one of the strongest criminal organizations in the settled systems, as they're able to provoke both the Freestar Collective as well as the United Colonies. A design document shown in the Into the Starfield The Journey Begins Developer Diary. At 57 seconds in, you can see a document on screen, and it reads as follows. Pirates of the Crimson Fleet have extended far beyond the Chris systems and have established footholds in the Sagan, Cheyenne, Lunara, and Narion systems. Both SysDef and the Vanguard are committed to ridding the United Colonies of these parasites. This is clearly no longer just a Freestar Collective problem. Be advised that the Crimson Fleet is not a single organized entity or faction, rather a loose confederation of individual captains, all organized under the same banner. It closes out by giving permission to terminate any Crimson pirates at will. Jumping back to the concept art of these three soldiers, I do think that we get to see pretty good insights as to how heavy, medium, and light armors respectively may generally appear in the game. Based on this, as well as other previous art we've seen of the outfits in the game, I do believe we are looking at another layered armor system similar to what we had in Fallout 4. I think this is a welcome continuation in Starfield. Towards the end, Emil reminds us that we're one of the newest members of Constellation, an organization dedicated to discovering the mysteries of the galaxy. And here we get to take a look at two brand new environments. One showcases what appears to be a ship graveyard, potentially a hazardous or toxic planet. What brought these ships down, I'm sure we'll have to discover for ourselves, but the mystery being, was it natural or was it intentional? It's a small detail, but notice the weapon that presumably the protagonist is holding in the shot is different from the one we saw in the most recent trailer. Finally, in the last bit of concept art, we're shown we do get to see a desert planet. It has some interesting flora and intriguing blue striations within the rocks. I have to say, I'm generally happy with the way that Bethesda has been trickling out this information. Every time it seems as though we're getting into a dry spell, it seems like it's gone a while without new details, Bethesda releases one of these small snippets that's just enough to hold us over until we get the next one. And it does. It's exciting for us to learn about the game as it progresses. We won't see that big gameplay in-depth demo until E3 in 2022, as Bethesda usually does. However, as we hold on for the wait there, this is a great way to get the name out there, get people talking about it, consistently engage people in debates and discussion videos such as these. So I'm very happy with how Bethesda's been handling it. I hope we continue to get to see more of these as time does go on. But let me know if you spotted anything I missed. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Please do let me know. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And as always, I hope to see you all next time. So long, everybody.